Hello and thanks for joining me. Let's chat for a few minutes about New Finnish Grammar by Diego Marani, which is the most recent book that I finished. And following this chat, I will also touch base briefly on what I'm currently reading, as well as do a drawing to let the random universe choose the next read off of my 2018 priority reading list. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, New Finnish Grammar. This was originally published back in the year 2000 in Italy in Italian, and then it was translated in English and published in the UK in 2011, and the translator is Judith Landry. And yeah, I put this on my, I'm not sure how this book got on my reading radar. I had it on my want to reads list, so whenever I was curating my priority reads for 2018, I was looking for books around the topic of identity, and this one really jumped out at me as being related to identity because of the subject matter, which I'll talk a bit more about here in a moment. But yeah, I had several works of nonfiction related to identity, and I wanted to, at least have one work in there that explored identity through a work of fiction. So I chose this one, New Finnish Grammar by Diego Marani. So what it's about, it is... I thought I actually at the very beginning there's a prologue in the very beginning that I think really sets the book up really well, and so I thought I would just start out by maybe reading that excerpt from the prologue, because that will give you kind of an idea, really, a feel for what the entire book was about. So let me just pull that note up from the very beginning. I read this electronically, so I'm just skimming to it. All right, so this is the very first two paragraphs in the prologue. My name is Petri Friari. I live at number 6 Kaiser Wilhelmstrasse, Hamburg, and I work as a neurologist at the city's university hospital. I found this manuscript on 24th January 1946 in a trunk in a military hospital in Helsinki, together with a sailor's jacket, a handkerchief with the letters SK embroidered on them, 3 letters, a volume of Kalevala, and an empty bottle of Korsinkorva, which is apparently a drink. It is written in a spare, indeed broken, and often ungrammatical Finnish, in a school notebook where pages of prose alternate with lists of verbs, exercises in Finnish grammar, and bits cut out from the Helsinki telephone directory. Some pages are illegible, others contain just sequences of words without any apparent logic, drawings, foreign names, and headlines taken from the Helsingin Sanomat newspaper. So, yeah, that sort of sets our story up, because this novel is a reconstruction of these papers that this doctor finds in this trunk. And what it concerns is a young man is found in Italy during World War II, unconscious, sort of at the docks. And he has no identification. He's in sort of like, I guess, unconscious. He's in a coma. He's been beaten. The coat has the name Sampo Karjalainen, and I'm hoping I'm not mispronouncing that too bad. My apologies to Finnish-speaking people if I'm doing a poor job of pronouncing that name. But that name is in sewn in the coat that he's wearing, and then in the pocket there's a handkerchief with the initials SK on it. And so this is all that there is to identify this man. And so he awakens in a hospital eventually, and he has lost all of his memories. And he even lost the ability to speak. He doesn't know a language. He's forgotten how to speak any language. So it's not known from that where he's from. Well, this doctor that attends him is originally from Finland, and is exiled from Finland. This is wartime, but for various reasons left Finland before that, even before World War II, but still identifies very strongly with Finland. And since this name, Sampo Karjalainen, is a Finnish name, the doctor thinks that this man must be from Finland. So he has a sort of slow recovery there in Italy, but the doctor arranges for him to make his way back to Finland. And so he does eventually when he's well enough, and that's where our journey really kind of begins, because this is this man's Sampo Karjalainen's journey towards an identity, because he's relearning Finnish. He started the doctor back at the hospital in Italy that was originally from Finland, started to teach him Finnish, the Finnish language, but then when he got to Helsinki, he continued learning this, and he kept these notebooks with his notes and things in it. And so I don't want to give away too much more of the plot. This is his journey towards forming an identity, and so when I was thinking about this book, like, what is this book really trying to tell me? And there was a couple of things that I jotted down about it. One was language, how language actually forms our identity. The doctor wasn't sure that this man was the only Finnish, just going on this coast. So this man, Sampo, has a very tenuous connection to anything. And so, how disorienting that would be if you really stop to think about it, if you did not have your language to ground you in who you are, because this book actually is just beautifully written. And there's a part of the book explores this idea of words as magic. The words we use create our reality, because we construct our world largely around our language. How we understand the world comes from our language. And if you had that taken away from you, how disorienting that would be, and how difficult that would be to navigate life without that. So our character is in this situation. And then another thing I jotted down is how we recognize people, based on their identity. So this character, Sampo, like I mentioned, cannot speak at first. He does start learning some rudimentary Finnish, but he's very awkward with it, and Finnish is apparently a fairly difficult language. I'm not that familiar with it, but there's a lot of cases and a lot of grammar to it that we don't have in English, that makes it seem to me anyway, a fairly complicated language. And so he struggles with this, learning this language, but he recognizes people. The book illustrates this sometimes in a really oblique way, in a really subtle way, where we get this idea of he's recognizing someone by the way they walk, or the way they smell, or the way they sound. And so how our identity is tied up in all of these different things, that how we walk is distinctive. It's part of our identity, and someone can tell who we are based on that in some cases. There's one scene because this is wartime, right? So there's soldiers everywhere and whatnot. He's in this group of soldiers. It's in World War II. I don't know if I mentioned that. I think I did. But he's in this group of soldiers, and it's at night, and he can't see their faces, and he starts to distinguish them by their smells and how they walk, and things like that. From a distance, he can tell who is who. So I thought that was really kind of cool too. And then another thing that this book really explores, that I jotted down an idea, was how, if you did not have this, lacking an identity, how then that affects your ability to connect with other people. And he has this difficulty in the book, and I won't go into it too much, but he doesn't have a place. He doesn't seem to have a sense of place, of who he is. He tries to identify with the mythology of Finland, the music of Finland, and this type of thing, but he never really can connect with it. And then he has a difficult time actually even connecting to other people. And he makes this point, if I don't know who I am, how can I know who you are? Speaking about other people that he's trying to connect with. So I thought that was really interesting, how this book explores these levels of identity in such a cool way, in some ways more complex than I think I've gotten so far from the books the nonfiction works around identity that I've read. So, I'm really glad that I went ahead and chose this book to priority read this year around this topic, because I feel like it was really an enriching book to read around what makes us who we are, how language makes us who we are, or impacts who we are, and how that connects us with each other and with a place. Before I run out of time, I thought I might finish up with one more quote. This is from the very end of the book, and if I could just get to it really super quickly, I will go ahead and read that before I run out of time, because I thought it was just so beautiful, and it doesn't give away any spoilers, so let me just scroll to it real quick. It's at the very sort of end. Okay, hang on. Almost there. We come into this world in one place only, and only there do we belong. Sooner or later, the globetrotter who leaps from one identity to another like an acrobat on a trapeze will lose his footing, find himself on the ground, pinned down, well-traveled though he may be, by the memory of a few houses and a dusty road. When the hour of death draws near, even those who have spent their whole lives claiming they do not have a country will hear the sudden call of the place where everything began and where they know they are awaited. There and there only, everything will always be the same, each smell, each color, each sound in its right place. When we go home, memory vanishes, and with it, pain. When end and beginning meet, it means nothing has happened. All was a dream within another dream, and perhaps man, too, is the stuff of dreams. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful meditation on identity this book was, and how that impacts so many different aspects of who we are as individuals. So, yeah, so glad I got that read. Okay, I will stop the chat with that and talk a bit about what I'm currently reading. Us and Them, David Berreby, Understanding Your Tribal Mind. This was yet another one of my priority reads around the theme of identity. So this is a nonfiction work about tribalism, you know, how we think in tribes and how we put ourselves in tribes and identify others in tribes. I'm about a third of the way through this. I hope to finish it fairly quickly, though. I'm planning on some significant reading time on this tonight, so I hope to get a little further along, but so far it's very informative and very engaging. So before I run out of time, though, I want to do a quick drawing for my next read. If you saw my previous video, I had a meetup with Peg from Reading and Knitting on the Porch with Peg book channel yesterday, and I actually meant to have her do my guest drawing for my next read, and I forgot. So I'm going to do it myself. So let's see what we got for next time. Testaments of Time. Testaments of Time. I've been waiting for this one. This one is about, it's one of my selections of books about books. I'm going to call up the blurb for it. Here is the book itself. Let me get the book. I bought a used copy, so here is a used copy. Testaments of Time, The Search for Lost Manuscripts and Records by Leo Duel. I've been wanting to get to this, so this will be coming up next. The blurb says, panorama of the astonishing work done to retrieve and restore ancient texts of the scholar adventurers who gave us vast new knowledge of the ancient civilizations of Egypt, Mesopotamia, Mexico, and Central Asia, and the origins of the Bible. So this is all about looking for lost texts, you know, from the ancient world, something that I love. So I am going to love this when I get to this. It will be coming up following Us and Them. When I finish that up in the next few days, I will have a chat coming up on that. And until then, take care. Bye.